So Marvel is banking everything on the Fantastic Four, but fans already see through it. You see, from the moment Pedro Pascal was cast, it stopped feeling like the Fantastic Four movie and started looking like, another identity driven project. Now, Pedro Pascal isn't leading the Fantastic Four, as you all know. He's just standing there while Marvel pushes Sue Storm or Mary Sue Storm front and center. And now they want us to believe this is the version of Fantastic Four that they say is faithful, while Pedro Pascal praises every studio decision like it's bold or fresh. Okay. Now, the whole year is dry and everyone knows it. You see, outside of July, there's almost nothing pulling weight at the box office. You've got months with, zero competition, and Marvel decides to go ahead and cram Superman and Fantastic Four within 2 weeks of each other. All right, so that's simply just panic, not strategy. And studios used to understand pacing. Now you could have RoboCop, Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, and Star Wars share a summer, and they all made money. But that era is dead, unfortunately. And now, if you get two big releases too close, they cannibalize each other, basically. Now, back then, we could walk into a theater without even knowing, what was playing. You see, pick a movie at random and walk out of there satisfied. But now, you're just praying something isn't a bait and switch disaster, okay? And this Fantastic Four rollout right here is looking more and more like a marketing driven fantasy, not a fan driven event. And they're throwing around buzz like, record setting and crashing sites when the only evidence is a glitch from a down detector with 12 people reporting an outage. That's not viral at all. That's staged. And I even reported on this yesterday, okay? So back in 2018, Kevin Feige laid out the MCU's path, more female heroes than male heroes. And we're seeing the fallout of that plan play out right now in Fantastic Four. Now, this movie wasn't born out of a love for the source material. It was actually conceived in that same identity first woke phrase that gave us all those post Endgame messes. And now they're planting the idea that Sue Storm isn't just one of the team, she's the main event. Now, they're not even subtle about it either. See, Marvel producers are openly stating that Sue Storm is the true leader of the Fantastic Four. Not Reed Richards, not the guy who's actually traditionally been the brains and the backbone of the team. No. Now it's about Sue stepping up. And Pedro Pascal, who plays Reed Richards, is all in on this. You see, he's publicly said that he loves being led by strong women. And that's the line right now. Reed takes the back seat, basically, and Sue drives the narrative, okay? Now, Vanessa Kirby even mocked Sue Storm's old comic book portrayal. Like, yeah, okay, the comics from the 60s weren't perfect, but they're the reason why these characters exist in the first place. Now, it's just the usual pattern: mock the classics, virtue signal the update, and then act shocked when fans push back. It's the Rachel Zegler playbook, basically. And it always ends in the same way: backlash, damage control, and box office pain. Okay? Now, there's also a weird gaslighting element going on too. You see, they're now trying to go ahead and convince people that Sue Storm was always the leader of, the Fantastic Four. And that's just false. You see, Reed Richards was the anchor of that team. Go back and read the John Byrne run, and that was peak Fantastic Four. That was when She-Hulk was still cool, and that was when the team had balance. Now it's clearly tilted, and there's talk that they might even shove She-Hulk into the lineup just to pile on more female presence and stuff. Not sure if it's going to happen in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. And it doesn't help that, Pedro Pascal doesn't fit. You see, this dude's pushing 50, and you really think this guy's going to go ahead and carry a full multi-film franchise for the next decade? They're going to burn him out faster than they did with Oscar Isaac. And if the rumors are true, Well, Reed Richards is just barely a presence in this movie. You see, he's in the background while Sue and the gender swap Silver Surfer take on Galactus, okay? So why even cast Pedro Pascal at all? Unless you needed a name to cover the fact that Reed is being sidelined, all right? Now, Pedro Pascal wasn't even the studio's first choice, as you all know. They went through multiple actors who supposedly passed on the role. Why? Because Reed Richards in this version doesn't do anything. You see, he's written like a sidekick, and that's what Marvel has become post Endgame. You see, throw men into roles with legacy, strip them of influence, and tell the audience that, it's empowering. Now, it's the same mentality that gave us that cringe scene in Endgame where the all female heroes went on ahead and randomly team up for 5 seconds of fan fiction, okay? But this whole, Fantastic Four reboot is just the final product of that phase. And this is what happens when you take, a boys' adventure comic such as Fantastic Four, try to morph it into a gender politics vehicle, and expect everyone to clap. And the studio knows it. That's why they're out front trying to soften the blow. You've got producers saying that Sue Storm isn't a boss babe, but instead has feminine soulfulness. And now that's a cover. That's just PR spin right there for a character who's clearly taking over the show, or in this case, the movie. Now, Pedro Pascal even appreciates the being guided by, female leadership, as you all know. I mean, that's great for a progressive keynote speech, but this is Fantastic Four. This is movie. Now, Reed Richards isn't supposed to be a glorified intern, but that's where we are right now. We're getting the Pedro Pascal version of Reed Richards where he smiles supportively in the background while the women handle the heavy lifting, basically. I mean, that's not the Fantastic Four anyone asked for. Even like a number of like the female fans out there. We also got confirmation of the test screening leaks where Sue and the new female Silver Surfer are the ones who are heading or handling Galactus. Now, Reed and Johnny and Ben, well, they're just there. Glorified NPCs. It's a slap in the face to the legacy of the Fantastic Four, and fans are already noticing. Pedro Pascal being so comfortable in that passive role is not helping his image either. You see, it makes him look checked out before, the movie even launches. Kind of like he likes to watch, if you know what I mean. But this all lines up with the trend that's been building since Endgame. You had Iron Man and Captain America holding it down, and once they were gone, Marvel started handing the reins to characters who weren't ready, supported by narratives that alienated core audiences and fans. And Fantastic Four was supposed to be the reset, the reboot, the return to form. But instead, it's reading like the last gasps of a studio still stuck in a 2019 mindset. Okay, so the weird part is that the audience has made it very clear what they want, what we want. They want adventure, heroism, and some level of traditional storytelling, okay? And not this bait and switch, but Marvel keeps doubling down. Fantastic Four is being sold as a team film, but every move they've made screams otherwise. From the press releases to all the way to Pedro Pascal's interviews to the way they're setting up Sue Storm. It's all pointing in one direction, okay? But even the leaks about, Galactus aren't about Galactus. They're about Sue saving the day. The classic villain is now just a backdrop for a modern empowerment message, and that's not character evolution or development at all. That's just using the brand to Trojan horse a new agenda. And Pedro Pascal's passive portrayal of Reed only makes that clearer. And it's hard to respect the character that doesn't do, anything. And that's what Marvel seems to be delivering here. You see, but I mean, in the end, well, we'll see if the Fantastic Four can actually deliver anything resembling what made the comic iconic in the first place. But based on everything we've seen so far, I mean, it's a platform. And Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards looks more like a placeholder than the leader. And there's still some time for course correction, according to some people, but judging by this rollout, they're betting everything on hype and not substance, and fans are picking up on that. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Be sure to smash that like button, share the video far wide across social media, subscribe to the channel, turn on that bell for future uploads and notifications, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace.